Hi, I'm Grant Sharkey. I wrote and composed, and I am Weber in Weber. The musical I wrote about Andrew Lloyd Webber. I wrote that and composed it and did the book as well. I wrote the story. So, yeah, that's me. I'm Grant Sharkey. I wrote Weber. Why write Weber? I was on tour with another musical I wrote called Are You Worthy, which is about the inequalities of big festivals like Glastonbury. It's got a dancing, singing pyramid in it. Anyway, I was on tour with that, and we're at Pilton Village Hall, the home of Glastonbury Festival, and someone asked me if I'm the next Andrew Lloyd Webber, to which I jokingly went on a little sort of funny little 5 minute rant of going no, and started thinking about what that would sound like and what sort of character it was, and this grotesque little character came out for Webber, and we had a good laugh with it, and I started to improvise, "Oh Sarah," and um, and that was kind of fun. And then I thought there might be some legs in it, and I drew a little silly image of it, and then just sort of left it alone for a little bit. Then I was in a hotel somewhere in Shropshire, and suddenly the first song came to me, the "You Know Me" song, and I decided, well, let's pursue that a little bit. And I sketched out "Oh Sarah" as well, and then left it for a little bit more time. Went on tour again, and then I started to do the actual research to see, is there any legs in that? Is there a story there? And the truth is, there is no story to Andrew Lloyd Webber's life. He's a boy who was born winning, and he won. That was basically it. He didn't really have to sort of do too much hardship on the way there. Therefore, the art is somewhat fluffy. Anyway, uh, I was doing the research into Andrew Lloyd Webber, and I, to be honest, I didn't really have any sort of strong feelings about him. He's someone that made all of his money out of Eva Peron and Jesus Christ, people's leaders who work for the people, and he, when he became a lord, he ended up flying over the Atlantic when he was a member of the House of Lords at the behest of George Osborne, the Chancellor, the Conservative Chancellor at the time, just so he could vote to cut tax credits for the poorest people in Britain. And I thought, hang on, if you've never learnt from your main character of Jesus Christ, then surely that's a moral story that he must be on. So I decided to write Webber, and I decided to do it properly as well. I decided that it needed the care and attention that it deserves as well. The guy is apparently a great composer. So I sat down and I composed it. It has leitmotifs. It has a full orchestra written for it. It has about one bar of 7/4, because he loves the fact that he puts a song of 7/4 into his musicals. So I decided to put one bar of 7/4 into it, and genuinely just tell the true story of it. Everything in the show is real. Some of it is educated supposition. That's about the best we've got in terms of some motives and things like that. But the truth is, it seems that he's just not that good. It's just a really good PR job. So I figured that's the show to write. There's a dichotomy in the PR and the reality that I like. There's a truth to be told there, and that's where satire lives for me. And he also gave a lot of money to Margaret Thatcher's government, and she was wreaking havoc across the nation at the time. And she was also imposing things like Section 28, which was basically making it illegal to talk about being gay. And for someone who was making money out of the gay community in terms of musical theatre, and employing quite a lot of LGBTQ people, and then taking those profits and then giving it to Margaret Thatcher to demonize those people, I felt that also required some mental gymnastics that I find fascinating. I just find fascinating. My brain works in a way of, if you're going to do something, make sure you're good at doing it. You're valid and justified in doing it. But if you're going to give money to Margaret Thatcher to attack the gays, then don't take money from the gays first. That seems a bit shit. So anyway, I decided to write that, and I decided that Margaret Thatcher should be the only other character in it, and she basically plays the part of his fairy greed mother, where she's just constantly forcing him to fuck as much money out of as many things as possible, as many good things as possible, and then fuck it into her systems. And he does gleefully and willfully. There you are, Weber. I wrote Weber with my very limited. I'm a self-taught musician. I'm a double bass player by trade, and I decided to try and score this completely and properly. I'd just written "Are You Worthy," which had a score and a piano track to it, and I decided I was going to just sit down and write all this properly. So I sat down with my bass and wrote all the songs, sort of sketched them out a little bit, and then got into Sibelius and started to sort of expand them a little bit and see how they sounded. And then I decided as well that this was going to be the perfect Fringe show. So I decided it's going to be 55 minutes long exactly, and it is. And it was going to be one track. So I was basically making it as simple as possible to set up and perform in a 15-minute setup or a 10-minute setup for a Fringe performance. I even wrote it for the room that we were playing in Edinburgh because I knew there was an alcove with a curtain at the back, so I could put Thatcher in there and I could put props in there and use the curtain. So I wrote it knowing how it was going to look and what it needed to do straight away. So we wrote it to, or I wrote it to essentially be a press play, sing along, pack up, and that's all we had to do. And so I wrote 55 minutes exactly, and some of it was hard to fit in, some of it was easier. There's no padding. I'm glad to say there's no padding. Haven't had to write any songs just to sort of get it over the mark. It's a very lean story. It just moves and moves and moves. The idea basically being there's no sort of time for juxtaposition or scene changes or costume changes. We're just getting it done for the whole 55 minutes. And then the last 5 minutes is obviously applause, standing ovations, and all that. And everyone has the best hour of their life. Why is Weber important to right now? Well, okay, so Weber is important to right now because of the fact we live in a world that has been completely shaped by mediocre, unqualified, egotistical men who tell us they're the best and we should try and be like them. Whereas if you're someone talented like me or like you, you don't have to write Starlight Express. Andrew Lloyd Webber had to write Starlight Express. That was something within him, and it was rubbish. It is a massive piss take for the amount of money they're charging and the amount of effort and injury they're asking of their actors. If I asked Laura Claire Reid to get on roller skates and break her legs every 3 or 4 weeks, I would expect maybe some resistance to that. Anyway, so we live in a world where everyone tells us they're the best, and they always seem to be the white supremacist billionaires. Just saying, they might not be the best people. So with Andrew Lloyd Webber, he's not one of those. I believe he's meek, maybe, and maybe sort of on the inside a little bit cynical and twisted. And he's always been sort of on the right side of things, in terms of the right side of politics. But the reason why this show works is because it's essentially showing people that these self-declared gods of ours aren't actually anything but mainly unqualified men who've told you that they're the best at something, and that's just weird. So I've decided that's what I'm going to do. I'm the anti Andrew Lloyd Webber. I can compose things and I do care about the art, and I'll even be in my own shows. I'll even go to Edinburgh, which I don't think he's done with his own show. I think he sent it to Edinburgh because that's what money can afford us. Unfortunately, Andrew Lloyd Webber decided to make the money from one thing, hey, Jesus, and give it to Margaret Thatcher, the Antichrist. So yeah, that's why Webber's important right now. Why Laura? How Laura? Okay, so that's about Laura Claire Reid. I wrote this specifically with, or I started to write this with my friend Jasha Crankshaw in mind as the part of Margaret Thatcher. I'd worked with Jasha in Are You Worthy, and she is hilarious and very, very good at singing. So I was starting to write it with her in mind, and unfortunately she couldn't do it. And I had to suddenly go, ah, I need a Thatcher. And I'd worked with Laura many years ago. She's in a fantastic duo called the Ventnor Darlings, from Ventnor on the Isle of Wight. And I'd worked with Laura a few times at gigs, and they're very funny. But the one thing I like about Laura, she's an amazing pianist, amazing singer, incredible musician, and a wonderful soul. But one of the best things about Laura is the fact that I've seen her go on stage. They have no plan as the Ventnor Darlings, her and Matt, and they fail. They succeed whilst failing, and I watch them just slowly tumble and laugh their way out of it and get out of it and make the audience absolutely joyous by the end of it. And I know she's not scared of failure, and that's actually the thing that I need in this show, because we will improv bits and bobs as well, and it's still being built, and it requires every joke exploring. So I know that Laura's okay with the idea of trying something, failing, we'll tweak it, do it next time, whatever. I know it sounds bad, like she's some sort of clumsy idiot, but the truth is she's not. She's a very capable, clumsy idiot. And I knew she'd be good at exploring it, at playing, and also singing it as well. It's quite a part, Thatcher. I did write it up there, and she can get there. And the way she sings, billionaires soaring up into the clouds, makes me giddy every night when she does it. It's one of the most wonderful things ever. So Laura Claire Reid, that's why. How Laura Claire Reid called her up, said, Laura Claire Reid, do you want to be Margaret Thatcher in a musical? She said, yeah. I said, why? And she said, because she's never done it before. So we spent 2025 with her. She's never done this before in terms of like being on stage acting and just singing one thing, knowing where it's going to go, or dressing up as Thatcher. So this is her first time doing any of it, like DIY theatre as well. So we're both kind of novices exploring the space, and that's quite nice. We have this same energy to sort of try and find the jokes and the little moments in this particular play. So yeah, I called her up and we did it, and she's been amazing, and I'm looking forward to 2026 and 2027 being even more Margaret Thatcher. What's it like to perform in the show you wrote? Stressful. At the same time, I'm losing weight and I'm pretty healthy, so that feels good. But it's great fun. It's always good to hear the laughter. I'm a comedian by nature, so to hear laughter is the ultimate reward for all this work. Who made the set? I made the set. I knew it had to be a very simple set in terms of how we performed it with the fringe sort of setting and in little spaces. So I ended up sort of devising this idea of the 3 boxes at the front, or the 6 boxes, like little children's playing cubes at the front, and the curtain at the back. So we knew that was all there had to be, really. And then a robe stand. And Emma Jane Mansfield helped out massively with the curtain and the robe and lots of costume parts and stuff like that as well. She's quite amazing. And also, so I came up with the idea of just using these little fold away storage boxes to make the cubes. But luckily this year, we're upgrading to, and I've made these proper lovely blue and gold boxes, and they are going to match the blue and gold of the Weber sign over the curtain, and it matches the curtain, and it's all really cool. And I'm going to make maybe a new train as well that is also blue and gold. Anyway, yeah, it's a very homemade thing, but hopefully it will look fantastic when we perform it on some of the bigger stages that we got booked this year. What's my musical theatre background, or what's my background? My background is in art. I'm a bass player, and I am doing a project where I write an album every 6 months. I put that on hold a little bit just for Weber. And those albums, I wrote 26 albums in 13 years, toured them, DIY toured them by myself, nearly died countless times on the road whilst touring in various weather conditions and socio-economic conditions. Never been rich, never had money, always been happy, always had a gig, and never been hungry, as you can see. Because kindness is a thing, and it's a wonderful river to raft upon. And yeah, but the idea is that the art should connect, and it should never be. It should never take the audience for granted, and it should never treat the audience as if they're idiots. That's how I always see it. So that's where my background lies. I'm always studying music, and I'm always studying comedy in terms of what's funny, what's working, what's not working, and trying to hear new things all the time that I try and grab out of the air. And I like knowing that I'm constantly trying something, even if I'm failing at it. So that's my background essentially, and being a sort of a DIY musician as well, I've learned to just get on and do things, which is quite nice. Just in terms of book a show, book a room, and see how it goes. The hardest part of this is promoting things at the moment, because the algorithm is full of as much war as anything else. Whereas they didn't used to stick war stuff onto poster racks in the old days. Just saying. Imagine if you're flying at Edinburgh and there's a load of politicians also flying war. Yep, just saying. Anyway, so yeah, that's my background. That's what I do. Who organises things? I organise things. I make the bookings and do the promo and raise the money. I'm very stressed all the time. Big Balls Club, what's that like? Is the best thing we could think of to help fund Weber. We need to raise about 10 grand this year, just to keep us sort of in festival fees, in petrol, in hotels, because Laura Claire Reid will not be sleeping on floors. That's my decision, not hers. And to just generally promote as well, because we're doing this all on our own. So we're trying to raise this 10 grand. The Big Balls Club is essentially 300 memberships available to people for £50. And for that £50, you get 2 guest list spaces at any show you can make. They have to be arranged in advance and subject to availability, obvs. You also get 6 newsletters over a year, like old-fashioned fan clubs where you'd get a little bit of something in the post, just sort of with pictures and something new, something extra, including a quiz written by Laura Claire Reid, plus like tour photos and road stories and funny bits and bobs and tour dates, obviously. And you also get a badge as well. So the 50 quid is brilliant. It's the best thing. And for that 50 quid, we get to raise about 10 grand and just make Weber as good as we can. Our objective this year is to go for every 5-star review we can get. We won't get 5 stars, but we want a lot of stars out of Edinburgh. And we want to win all the comedy awards because we're hilarious. And we also want to make a big stir in the world by putting something on that he doesn't like and he won't like. The reason for that is that's exactly where satire should lay. If the powerful sit there going, yes, that will do, then it's not done its job. So that's basically what the Big Balls Club is. There's also a Little Balls Club as well, where you can just put in a little bit of money, and we'll set up a little WhatsApp group or something for Weber where you can where we can just sort of talk to you directly. One of the problems we have at the moment is the fact that the algorithm essentially wants us to sort of do TikTok dances and Oh, just this constant daily stream of bullshit. I mean, I do it anyway in terms of just like posting about Weber, but to actually get information across quickly and succinctly, you have to basically say the same thing differently every day for months and months and months. I'm currently looking after my mum. There's a lot of things that I don't want to be doing. I don't even want to be doing this. I woke up early just to do this. I've woken up early. Call yourself a writer. Anyway, um, and the idea of filming stuff just to appease the billionaires makes my shit itch, as my friend Richard Kingston says. Richard Kingston is also the guy who did the poster design of Weber. So if you look closely, that's Richard Kingston's work. Yeah, he works for the like Terry Pratchett estate and all that stuff. Yeah, it's cool. It's all right. It's only Richard Kingston. He's my pal. It's okay. Do I hate Andrew Lloyd Webber? I don't hate Andrew Lloyd Webber. I find it. I think we just live in two very different worlds. When he looks around at his stud farm full of racehorses in Berkshire, stroke Hampshire, uh, and goes, "Oh, this country's falling to pieces," and I look around and I see people getting on and doing things within their communities. I think we live in two different worlds. When a man who's a billionaire is unhappy and a man who has nothing is happy, I just have a feeling we're seeing the world from two different places, but we have the same skill set in terms of we can turn a good tune, um, and uh, and that's about it. That is about it. I do care about story, but other than that, yeah. Do I hate him? Not at all. Touring with Laura Claire Reid is very funny. We listen to a lot of music. She listens to music in such an extraordinary, complex way. She's fascinating to be around, and uh, and we both go and hunt for some of the best food we can find, which is very nice. We've had some very beautiful moments already on the short tour we did last year. In terms of, there was a point when we just sat out. We bought a couple of cans of beer, and we're in Llandudno in North Wales, and we did our show, and the show was lovely and really good fun. And we bought a couple of cans of beer and sat on a little shelter in the by the seafront. It was quite warm for the middle of November, and just went, well, if this isn't nice, what is? You know, it's one of those moments of like, this is really lovely. And then on the road to, I think it was Northampton the next day. I can't remember, but yeah, well, we had a roast. You see, it's all sort of tied with these little moments of very wonderful food, and we shall always find the good food. Um, and yeah, so touring is a good laugh, and it's professional, uh, and we get the job done, and we're always improving the show, and I like that the show is growing all the time, so that's really good. So what's touring like? Fucking great! You should try it.